GTA Online by its core is a free-roam game. It's very obvious if you look at all the design decisions that Rockstar has done over the past couple of years. Heck, in the last DLC they have tried something new with being able to just start a mission without having to go to a job screen like you would have to do in previous DLCs, like for example with the tuner contracts. While the mission would still technically be in free roam, it would be like a completely separate session, etc, etc. Now it's a lot more seamless, but there's still definitely some improvements to be made, and obviously you probably know what I'm going to be talking about here. It is the Christmas event. There's a whole lot of the stuff that you can get in the next week or two with the festivities happening in the game. But the main issue that we're having here is the inaccessibility of them. The new Christmas truck in particular is the main offender. Having to wait 60 minutes in a session in order to have a chance of getting the 2 new sweaters becomes a little too ridiculous. Last year we had the WM29 pistol, and admittingly, I don't even have the pistol yet because it takes such a long and convoluted way of getting the event to spawn that I just decided it wasn't worth it. The same thing kind of goes with the Gucci outfit too. Having to wait 48 minutes in a session and then crossing my fingers that I'm gonna be the one that's gonna get it is simply too long of a wait and too much effort for something that's relevant for what, 1, maybe 2 weeks? I understand that the reason why we're getting one of these events at a time and not everything in one go is probably because of limitations within the game itself, but wouldn't it be better if there was a way where you could go to Legion Square and you would do like a certain amount of steps and the truck would spawn for the entire session rather than having to wait those 60 minutes? The same thing goes for all the other different events. Like I said last year with the WM29 pistol, and yes, I've made a video too about this before, but I would like to highlight it again because clearly Rockstar is making efforts of trying to streamline the process of getting you to do stuff in free roam. But the major one that they still really have to look into, if there's anything possible with it, would definitely have to be these free roam events that are on a timer and require to wait a ludicrous amount of time in order to unlock something. The server's carbine was a big offender with this. The Christmas event is also a big thing with this, and the moment you start locking stuff that is quite honestly going to be a limited time event and it's not going to be able to get outside of these 1 or 2 weeks, it becomes a really big headache. I've even got reports of the fact that it also seems to be buggy and not always working, and if you're in a public session trying to get it that way, good luck, because everyone is gonna try to murder you. The Christmas truck as a concept is great. Having it drive around and dropping off packages is really cool. Like, it really brings that Christmas vibe. I'm sure many of you have seen that Coca-Cola Christmas advert from years ago. I don't know if it runs nowadays still, but that's the direct inspiration from it. Seeing it drive around is cool. It really brings the festive vibe to the game alongside of all the other stuff too. But there has to be a better way of doing it. Heck, why don't we make the Gooch something that you can call from Lamar instead of the Mugger? That would be a great solution of trying to fix that inherent problem of making people wait 48 minutes. It would kind of encourage players to start sending Gooches after each other, because let's be honest, that will be a really funny way of fixing the core issue of having to wait 48 minutes for it normally. The WM29 pistol, like I suggested last year, could just be a contact mission or anything within Freeroam that you can trigger yourself. Like, there's a whole heap of list of things that you could potentially just do to try to kind of mitigate these issues that we're having with these Freeroam events, especially during the holiday season. Something like Freeroam events and Freeroam challenges, I don't really think anyone is really doing those. Gang attacks, I believe the only reason for those to still exist is because apparently there's a trophy and achievement attached to them, and the list kind of goes on of a whole heap of Freeroam events or things in the game that quite frankly don't really have much of a reason to exist in the game other than making it feel more dynamic. I understand that something like a smuggler plane is cool to have and seeing it happen in the game, but if it goes to waste for events and limited time stuff like this with new unlockables, I think it might be time for Rockstar to look into prioritizing new stuff over the old stuff at the very least. There's a lot of work definitely still to be done to streamline this stuff, and I'm hoping that in a GTA 6 that there's going to be possibilities of having multiple of these events happening at the same time, because obviously that will be the big solution here. But clearly that is something that is either not possible because of how old the game is, or for whatever reason. Because if you were to be able to have multiple events going on at the same time, a lot of this stuff would be fixed. Because if you look back, we started at having to wait 10 minutes for something to show up in Freeroam for one of these events, and now we reached the point where you have to wait an entire hour. And yes, of course, this is something that is only going to affect those who are trying to do this in invite only, but having to hop from session to session to session to try to see if you can get this truck to spawn is a major headache. On top of the fact that if you have to do this in a public lobby, your chances of getting one of those packages or getting absolutely murdered because people don't like Christmas as much as you do is a whole other story. But yeah, that is my thoughts on this stuff. Obviously, I'd love to know if you've had any better solutions than I maybe have suggested in this video. And while it might not make its way into GTA Online, maybe perhaps it will be considered for the next GTA Online version. Whatever that's going to be called, we'll just call it GTA 6 Online for now. But with that said, thanks for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, and become a member like Chloe, GTA Plus, Notorious Jam, Dan, and the Custronics. Thank you for watching, have a wonderful Christmas, and I'll see you all later.